Good afternoon. I've got a smile on my face because I'm on an ego trip sitting on the settee now. And I just recorded previously a video showing how I can regrow the rainforests. And I mentioned in that the raison d'etre behind the patent application for the, wait for it, I've forgotten it, revolutionary vertical climbing engine. And so I'm now going to have to read the opening synopsis before I go on to the full essay for which the synopsis is responsible. Synopsis: Do we need nature? Do We Need Nature was an essay that I submitted for a competition to the Economist newspaper many years ago. And as I read the full essay to you, you'll see why they chose not to print it, or for me not to come anywhere in that particular competition. I must admit that the winner of the competition, Do We Need Nature, was a worthy winner and really grasped the whole aspect of the essay, whilst I just treated it as a humorous exercise. Synopsis: Do we need nature? Nature is symbiotic with nurture. This essay will prove that we can all live in harmony with nature if we put back the clock to the good old days, the bad old days. Les Miserables will be used as a backdrop to convey the ambience of events leading up to and including the French Revolution. Society carries the responsibility as to how it should nurture its young. Children should be seen and not heard was the maxim under which generations were nurtured by fear. Karl Marx felt the shivers of destiny run down his spine as he penned Des Capital. Corporal punishment at the hands of parents, teachers, police is the escape tunnel of institutional violence, which is the pivotal to saving the planet. DDT saved the harvest but killed off the biodiversity. Properly regulated institutional violence, the DDT of social engineering, would stop the globalizations of useful thuggery as its spectre of gangs of youth paralytically infecting growing number of young minds generation after generation. Politicians must use DDT to put sensibility and sensitivity back into the justice system. Do we need nature? Oppressive regimes will only hold the lid on a group of people till it is blown off in righteous rebellion. Les Miserables, students by any other name. Up until and through the French Revolution, the students and the workers fought hard for battles for freedom of self-expression. In this PC world of walking on glass, there are so many questions we dare not ask. Could self-expression without the responsibility be a freedom that has by default ensnared all of us? I have a self-imposed phobia that the sound of the mythical dumbrel, as there by the grace of God go I, for every ready blade of Madame Guillotine. Party officialdom of individuals promoted above their level in competence, who are there to do the workplace militia, a new breed of zealot who will roam unchecked through our daily lives, interpreting and enforcing this new creed of back covering. You can't do that. Yes, I can. And in the heat of the crisis, solved by a stroke of initiative, they issue a verbal warning. Flash goes the imaginary speed camera, as up yours is now contempt for this reincarnation of the citizen's court. Flash, and out comes a written warning, issued before suspension prior to the necessary inquisition of a full disciplinary hearing. In this Orwellian world of environment breezes our residential eccentric, totally oblivious to the protocol that should curb his natural ebullience. Stand by your workstations. Be bright and on guard by your glistening control panels. Remember your stay out of trouble slogan. Turn the other cheek. always smile, bite your tongue in self-denial. Could this be sound advice tinged with a layer of sarcasm? Dickensian capitalism, pursuant of profit, regardless of pain and suffering, of degradation of the workforce, has passed into history with its cradle, the dark Sedanic mills. Legislators try hard when drafting a bill to cover every point of contention. The Employment Bill was no exception to this rule. Workplace mythology has left us with the post-room punch-up and the canteen catfight. Here, did he get the boot? No, just a black eye. Then it's all forgotten. The good old days, the bad old days. Now for you, my friend, the convoluting path of dismissal by appeal and counter-appeal. Shut off the safety valve of the punch-up in the post-room and you have a new lexicon. Stress in the workplace. The lunacy of our well-meaning legislators has hoisted upon us to have a negative effect on the bottom line of the balance sheet of well-being. Just look around you and see the breakdown of relationships and all the manipulated stimulus of abuse to get my point. Ask any child, which would they prefer? Hands that slap or cuff across the inside of the leg, or the gradual erosion of parental bonding by the steady drip of enforced removal of privilege? Watch a pride of lands and see how often they chastise their curbs in a virtual lesson in the battle between life and death. Spare the rod and spoil the child should not be placed in a glass case at the behest of the nameless ones in Brussels. Sobs and kisses on parental knee once the act is done. Tell the child, although in pain, they have crossed the line again. Fire will burn and ice will freeze and water will drown. Men and women, sometimes in pairs, will snatch children as they play around. Sons and daughters passed into others' hands with pain of rules laid down and rules in force. When the leash is broken and the spirit free, will self-destruct in a negative force as they kick against authority. Cocktail sticks and champagne glasses, public money piled high, built an architect's visions of villages in the sky. Politicians, indecision between hard and soft, stumbled zombies with all their vision lost. No man's land where drugs change hands, a lost generation from the promised land. Listen with mother from radio waves, the nuclear family of a bygone age, watch with mother from TV set. Held their tension, should we forget. Explosive graffiti of colour crashed their brains, mothers now single had no time to explain. Society, by its very nature, must always dissect the present to discover how we got here from the past. Slavery, the opium trade, the Industrial Revolution, the killing fields of the Somme, Passchendaele, the Treaty of Versailles, the Great Depression, the meteoric rise of fascism and the birth of World War II. Reconstruction of the global economy led to the removal of any restraint that had shackled the free spirit of the world's youth. Teachers followed this new false doctrine of liberalisation, bent the rules to embrace the gospel of self-expression, turning a blind eye to the lapses of discipline under the guise of discovering their roots. Past generation had brains that could be trained to read and write, add up, subtract, divide, multiply. Root learning raised the productivity of the Industrial Revolution, let conscripts, soldiers kill or be killed by root. Liberalism had a vested interest in conveniently forgetting that a good basic education had built and sustained the British Empire. Slavery was abolished, which left slaves free to beg for work at any price. This freedom has made a slave out of me was a very ironic quotation. Opium could never compete with gin and lost the battle with the gin palaces, as the global alcoholism became the natural sanctuary for those condemned to waste their pathetic lives, trapped in a labyrinth of alcoholic haze driven by the poverty of ignorance. Evolution over just 2 generations proved the appreciation of the power of learning would give them a lifetime out of this malaise and domination over those left behind. Paradoxically, Passchendaele, the Somme, were the testing grounds for the paranoia of once again the aristocracy, the nouveau riche, the petty bourgeoisie could sense the blade of mad guillotine on their necks, for too much learning would send less miserables into the open arms of the agents provocateurs. Oh, what a lovely war gave way to the Great Depression, a plague on all your houses, rats that made a good living over those dying in foreign fields, spread the plague of financial ruin, which destroyed all at will. London's burning, St. Paul's is singed in the second great fire of London, Hamburg is lit up in incinerating wave, Hiroshima and Nagasaki are destroyed in a blinding flash of Pandora's box. A war is ended and no one lost, apart from the souls of 50 million who gave up their lives for a quantum leap in consumerism. Have we learnt anything but dissecting history? Something on which we can lay the foundations on which future generations could build a greener and better tomorrow? One thing and one thing only, the desire to periodically rush headlong into the abyss, the desire that has jumped species for the lemmings to us, is the only rational explanation for how we behave. Be they black or white or colours in between, kneel or play, jump or shout with tambourine, kiss the ground through holy mat, or just a gentle philosophy of this and that. We have no right to blight the earth, O Mother Nature's pulsing heart. She starves herself that we might feed, and gives us breath that we might breathe. As mother she daily toils to keep us all apart. We scrap and burn the hand that feeds us, as we lay destruction at her door, with a bushfire, a euphemism for yet another war. Do I see the endless parade of the guilty ones who advocated this global liberalisation? Let them now stoop down and pick up the pieces of the shattered minds, for under their stewardship they lay apathetic, disjointed, undisciplined, and will crash at the slightest challenge to their freewheeling, liberated souls. There he sits with the ghosts around his mortal form, with hands and legs not mutilated by war. His lungs breathe nicotine and poisonous hash. With shaking hands of Class A drug, he dares to ask for cash. The middle-class bourgeoisie set the infantile free, to end up on the streets in misery, like the slaves of history, a product of our brave new society. They made the industrial age. They were the enlightened ones, the brave men, the wise men. Upon a hill by moonlight their philosophy laid down. We call them the lunatics, but they were the ones that we are the ones that are mad, with mutually assured destruction, mad by any name. From a vision of science we built a sophisticated killing machine, capable of harnessing the power of the atom to do our destructive bidding. Hunters and gatherers are so-called primitive people who manage to live in harmony with nature by the use of their aborigine skills. Oh my God, where has nature gone? Wake up from this terrible dream. Drive the sweat from your body, for do we need nature with such a passion? Let all disciples of all things green, let them worship in cathedral spire, tabernacle, temple, mosque or synagogue, pray for a vision of a pyramid so vast that it blots out the sun. Built by a modern-day Noah, instruction simple. Weave a basket out of fibres that are within nature do abound, just 3 per block, to shrink in size, just one fits inside the other. The outer one to have a coarse weave, so to let the wind blow seed through, the innermost to have the finest weave to catch the smallest seed. Each block as light as a feather are laid in a manner to construct a pyramid. Now cover this monolithic structure with cotton cloth, as if to wrap a money from a pharaoh's tomb. The incubator of Mother Nature is algae green, moistened by her every breath, that brings the wind-blown seeds and the finest pollen. Insects in her breath will land in this glutinous moss. Roosting birds will nurture with droppings of rich in nitrogen as they feast upon the cotton cloth. Holes they will appear, and all that once in the holes will flutter to the ground in our upturned ark. No longer dark, the ark of ours will let the light shine through, while saplings in this fertile mulch will race to reach the light. In just a few years, no longer tears, the rainforest is regrown. The moral of my story that you have just been told, the failure to properly nurture could see us chop down all the trees and leave us hot and never cold. There'll be no more shining white stuff to reflect the glaring sun. All we'll get is carbon for the damage that we have done. As a modern day knower, I need your help. Do we need nature? Yes, we do. And in this essay, I've showed you what to do. This essay will now appear as the slideshow that accompanies the patent application for the revolutionary vertical climbing engine. I thank you once again, and go forth and spread the word. Do we need nature? Yes, we do. Do we need nurture? Yes, we do. And nature and nurture are symbiotic, have a symbiotic relationship, and we forget that at our peril. Goodbye.